If you follow this channel for long enough, especially in the last couple of years, chances are you're familiar with the name Marvista Entertainment. I'm sure probably a lot of you are, maybe even not following this channel. They're a pretty notable name for a variety of reasons. I think probably most people are aware of them, especially like me, from the TV film side. They tend to primarily distribute TV films, maybe apart from a couple others, maybe one or two, but most of the films, at least I've covered in this channel, tend to be airing on broadcast channels, primarily the Lifetime Network, and maybe a couple other channels as well within that type of setup. And, they've made a broad range of content. They've done primarily thrillers, romantic thrillers as well. I mean, I think the thriller concept applies to the film we're about to look at, but they've also done Christmas movies, other holiday releases, family films, romance movies, rom-coms. They've done a broad range. But the funny thing with this channel is, I tend to look at Marvista films post-release, because that's when the main channel for their, where they put the trailers up, that's when they tend to release the trailers. And it's still very odd. Like, why wouldn't you put this ahead of the release? Because the official channels that are airing this, like Lifetime, I don't think have put up the trailers for Marvista films in advance, or even the short promos. It's primarily based on Marvista, that they have to do the marketing post-release. I guess maybe because the films are they tend to go actually on different streaming channels, like Netflix has carried some, I think Hulu maybe has carried a couple, Tubi has a wide collection. But this one's odd in that we are really deviating from the familiar here, in that we're looking at a trailer at least closer to the release date, like within the last month. And I hadn't heard about this yet, but you can thank Lethal Love Triangle for this, which is another one of their movies, because the director and writer, or one of the writers on that movie, Daniel West, this was noted in his filmography at the top of the list, actually, as 2022, and I went, that's very interesting, because, it has the type of name that fits a Marvista movie. And what do you know? It is. And there's actually a short promo that's come out in advance of a main trailer, which I'm sure we'll probably come back to this film in the future and look at it again, just because it'll be funny, because I know the way Marvista's going to market this. They don't change their formula. It's very odd. But I think it'd be interesting. For once, we're actually checking out a film closer to the release date from Marvista, and hopefully this trailer, within the confines of about 30 seconds, which is not their Marvista's familiar, because they'll do a trailer around 2 minutes and 30 seconds usually. This is probably going to be much more jaded, and would probably give me more reason to watch this, than the actual trailer would. Because the trailers, as I said, tend to divulge quite a bit. They'll take in this case, 84-minute movie, chalk it down to about 2.5 minutes, with all the plot points entailed. Let's go ahead and take a look, though, at Killer Stepmom and see how this is. I mean, this is even a familiar territory in regard to the titling, not just by nature of it, but, Killer Stepmom, Evil Stepmom, I get the two mixed up. This is what it says according to IMDb. A teen with a reputation for telling lies and creating trouble witnesses her new stepmother murder a man in a vacant parking lot. Now she must convince her mother to believe her story before she enacts her plan to destroy her family. So kind of like the Boy Who Cried Wolf situation. In this case, it's evil stepmom, and I guess birth mom isn't convinced, maybe? I'm not exactly sure the dynamics of play here, but we'll see maybe with clarification from the trailer. That's kind of the way I'm assuming it's going to go. But, it's a familiar story. Killer stepmom. Okay, no, maybe her parents are divorced and remarried, and then there's this woman who's trying to come into the family. That's even familiar territory with Marvista. Hang on a minute. I have to confirm this because this would be kind of funny. Evil Stepmom really rings a bell. Or I should say Evil Stepmother. That's been titled both. It's basically the same thing. That one really rang a bell because if I remember this right, you had a mom, and I could be getting this wrong. I know I'm referencing a Marvista movie here to some extent, but there's been so many. Again, forgive me if I'm mixing a title, but I think it was Evil Stepmom, where you had a woman and I believe her daughter trying to get into a family. Yeah, wasn't it the daughters were trying to set up the dad who had recently been widowed? A widow and his daughter become the targets of two con artists. Yeah, mom and daughter. I remember this movie. Really rings the bell. But, in this case, and that one I was saying, perhaps because the father was grieving. And while, I understand the sympathies of maybe the young daughter trying to be like, I want to put the family back together. I want to bring peace to you. There's a time to grieve, and maybe time would have been best served in regard to avoiding potential bad actors trying to get into people's lives. In this case, That was more so like a house robbery. This one, I think actually this might be a little more dangerous because mom seems to be out of the picture. I'm assuming. I don't know. Because she can realize that there's an unsafe existence and dad is falling for this woman. Safety net being gone. I mean, the stakes here, I think, much more dangerous. And if this happened realistically, heaven forbid, which I can imagine easily doing because these are very grounded thrillers. Maybe it's even based on a real story. I don't know. But it has a very provoking plot. I'm assuming, again, because this promo is only about 30 seconds. This is going to be much more jaded than the official Mar Vista trailers. But let's see. Again, we'll probably come back to this in the future, but I don't know. We're going to go ahead and watch this first. Well, we probably will if Mar Vista puts out the trailer for it on their channel. Well, that'll be an interesting opportunity to compare, like, this is what you could do versus what you're not doing. We'll go ahead and watch this first. We'll talk about it more in my condensed review segment for us watching the video together. Here we go. Let's take a look at this.
You get to spend time with your dad.
And her.
Yes, and Susanna.
Dad, I'm here.
Give her a chance.
Friday.
Okay.
She stopped like she recognized it. You don't think that's weird? Why was someone like that following Susanna?
Why are you doing this? My family was destroyed by yours, so I'm returning the favor.
Killer Stepmom premieres Friday at
Even
8.
the promos for like 30 seconds go a bit spoilery. I mean, granted, maybe they didn't feature as much in comparison to some of our Mar Vista trailers, but didn't they just give away the ending? The promo? Like, what? Maybe there's some big twist that they're not revealing here. And that they probably will in the Mar Vista trailer, but is this just like, I don't know. It's odd, because usually movie studios, when it comes to their marketing, are better at making sure they remain closed-lipped on at least some plot moments, and that way it gives you a reason to watch beyond, well, I'll just look at the trailer, and because I can do that within 30 seconds. It's like I've wasted no time at all. That's weird. That's very odd. I've not seen a movie studio quite like Mar Vista. And I mean, I'm not even talking at quality level. I'm talking about the way they market. It's just, it's so off-putting. It's funny, but it's just, no other studio does that. At least from what I've seen. Maybe some shows, maybe once or twice you'll see a movie studio that might make a mistake in regard to some of their marketing. They might divulge too much. But it's not as expected as Mar Vista. It's just weird. Maybe they're like all TV films are the same, so it really doesn't matter. Well, yes. I mean, if like you want to get people to watch and it's like, well, I've already seen this movie, right? Or I just basically watched a 30-second trailer and it's done the same thing. Because, I mean, they give the ending away, it seems like. I mean, well, you know that the killer stepmom is bad, right? From the suggestion of the title and the synopsis. But it's like, I don't need to know about the family drama. You could have saved that for the film. Why do I need to know about that now? It's weird. We'll come back to this in the future when Mar Vista puts out a trailer. I'm sure they will, which would be funny then to compare. Like, even the short promos go too far into this. But, hey, it was funny to look at a Mar Vista trailer in advance, well, nearly in advance of the film. I mean, it's about like post-month release, but this is a lot earlier in regard to the marketing than what Mar Vista puts out. They usually wait like 4 or 5 months, or maybe even longer. 8 by some of the recent accounts, or more. What are your guys' thoughts with Killer Stepmom? I mean, again, very familiar territory for them, both from a presentation perspective and even a plot perspective, with some deviations. And I think it's a very realistic plot. I'd be interested in watching it. I probably still will, even if it's, spoiler, but I've done that in the past. It's like Fallen Queen. I like that film quite a bit, even though, again, with this trailer, I knew everything going in pretty much on the basis of the plot, and where it would go. But it was still, I think, an enjoyable movie. I'll probably give him the possibility here. But this is just, Mar Vista needs to work this out. Because in terms of, like, getting new customers, you're going to get a whole audience on YouTube, but they're not going to translate over most likely to, I mean, I'm still willing, but how many other people are? Where it's like, well, I can just watch the trailer and that's basically the movie. I can just go on the Mar Vista trailer or channel and spend about, the same equivalent to a TV movie, so about like an hour and 30 minutes on average, watching all the past trailers and watching like, 20, 30 different stories in a shortened form. I don't know, be kind of, I don't know. I'm interested to hear where you fall. Would you still be open to watching a Mar Vista movie? Even if the trailers go in my opinion, way too far. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. Don't forget all that good stuff, but like, subscribe, and sharing that bell. Until I get to look at Killer Stepmom again in the future, which, again, as I said, I'm predicting we will, I was seeing as a point that happens to be if Mar Vista puts up this trailer late. We'll see. And if so, I could say I was right. Until we get to see if that's the case, or we get to watch something else entirely, I will see you guys at a point that happens to be. But for now, thanks for watching this video. I love you guys. Don't forget to love yourselves, your fellow man. God bless, and peace.